Hey there, I hope this finds you well, wherever you're watching it from. This is going to be my fourth field observation reflection. I was once again, I was observing Miss Ratsky's grade 4 English class. Uh, Going well. Those kids are starting to really warm up to me, I think. But whatever the case, this time around, I was focusing on the pupils themselves in the classroom. Um, I really enjoyed today, particularly, uh, excuse me, because we got to go outside for a like outdoor gym period kind of thing, which I'll tell you about in just a second. Um, but yeah, just to get off to start, covering the physical skills of the kids in the class. Pretty much all of them are roughly the same height, weight, and build kind of thing. Um, there are, of course, some kids that are a little smaller, a little larger, but unlike I think most classrooms, there's not really a standout individual. Like I remember when I was in grade 4, I had a fella, lovely fella, super polite and nice and all that. His name was Brendan Lemieux, and at the time I was 4'11", and he was 5'11", and like I think like 250 pounds. So there's no real huge standout breakaway kind of kids in the class like that. They're all roughly the same. There is one boy named Austin who's a little bit bigger than the rest of the kids on average, I would say. Um, but he's really not all that much bigger. It's a pretty minor difference. Uh, Other than that, a lot of the kids have a pretty good sense of coordination and bodily movement. Um, Not really any particular clumsiness or lack of mobility that I can discern, at least. Um, and for the most part, they're all pretty good at using their like writing materials and instruments. Like their handwriting. Honestly, some of the kids in that class, their handwriting is better than mine. Uh, which is kind of crazy. Um, so I would say that they have honestly maybe an above average mastery of their kind of like use over writing utensils and stuff like that. Um, and then as for, but actually, I'll get to that gym period. I remember I was mentioning earlier. Um, so we went outside for an outdoor gym period to replace our English class, and I was expecting most of the kids to be pretty adept at running, at, these kind of other physical activities, like throwing and catching. Because, like, I'd seen them be pretty good at it in the classroom. And then we went outside, and uh, as they started playing football, and they weren't very good at it. It was kind of like a really big show of their sudden breakdown of coordination, which kind of shocked me. It actually ended up with one of the kids. He misplaced his foot over his own foot and ended up hurting his ankle, and he actually had to go inside. But when it comes to kind of more gross motor skills, they do seem to be a little lacking, I would say. Like when it comes to their athletic coordination. In the classroom, like I said, they're great, but outside of it, ooh, kind of a mess. I can't lie. Other than that, in regards to their communication skills, a lot of the language that they use is, I would say, pretty standard for a kid that age. Not a ton of slang. You will have the occasional kid, saying some word to the teacher, and then poor Miss Ratsky's like, "What? What are you talking? What did you just say?" And be completely confused. Can't blame her. Some of them words are weird, but for the most part, I would say that that language is appropriate. It's oftentimes not slang, and for the most part, they're all contributing to the conversation without having to be forced to. They're oftentimes initiating and participating of their own will, um, which I think is great. Other than that, in terms of social behavior, this it's a pretty uh, wealthy neighborhood, I'll say, and a lot of the kids there do reflect that. Like I remember two of the boys were talking about how they were going to go buy hockey sticks with their dads after class or after school was done, and they were talking about getting the brand new model. And I looked it up afterwards, and it was something like a $550 stick. And just as a kid, getting that kind of crazy. Whatever the case, though, um, this does kind of lead to most of the kids being in the same class kind of area of that kind of middle to upper middle class. So most of them do cooperate and get along pretty well. And there's not really a lot of kind of ousting of kids because of it. They are also aren't quite old enough, I don't think, to really do bullying yet. There's definitely I've definitely seen some times where they were meaner than they had to be, but it's never one targeted kid. Um, I have seen, granted, it's not good either, but I have seen almost every child. Let me rephrase it. Every boy in the class receives some sort of flack from another one of the boys at some point or another. There isn't really any one who's particularly targeted or another one who is particularly immune to it. So they all kind of rest in that same sort of area where everyone's comfortable with teasing everyone else. And there isn't really. Most of the kids do kind of rest around the same level of popularity in the class as well. It's not super clicky. And most of the kids interact with most of the other kids. There is a small contingent of hockey kids, hockey boys particularly, who are a little more on the, favoritism side where they really want to hang out with the other hockey boys. But other than that, not much. Lastly, in terms of learning preferences, there is a lot of individual work. I don't think, have done a single group project since I've been there, and a lot of their stuff is written down. There's not a lot of speaking. And oftentimes it is heavily directed by Miss Ratsky. I don't know if that's just a behavior that she's picked up from her being a rookie, being so new to it, maybe being a bit uncomfortable letting the kids do their own thing. But in general, a lot of their learning does take the form of individual written work with heavy direction from Miss Ratsky. And other than that, the kids don't seem to have any trouble paying attention to particular activities. Some of the students do have a bit of an issue with sitting down on the carpet and watching the slides that Miss Ratsky puts up. Most of the kids don't, but there's a small contingent of those same hockey boys who like to sit as far away from the carpet as they can without getting called out, and they like to sit there and chat and mess around. One boy just got up and started cleaning his shoes in the middle of her lesson, which I thought was kind of odd, but she didn't seem to mind it. But other than that, they don't seem to have too much of a problem paying attention and focusing in on their activities and lessons. And yeah, I think that's gonna be it for this field observation. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you when I see you.